So today we'll continue with the money topic, but bringing it a bit home to where we are making it personal, investing in a budget or investing in budgeting. So that is what I'm going to talk about. So as we all like to do, we first like to define what is budgeting. Budgeting is a process of setting up a plan for your money. So a budget, the budgeting process is, in essence, is just planning. However, it's just being specific to money. And a budget is a tool to plan your income and your expenses. Income is whatever you receive, that is cash inflow, and expenses is cash outflow, what you spend. So those are the two terms that I'll mainly be sort of using as we go through this session of budgeting. John Maxwell said, a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. This is what Pastor spoke about in the beginning, to say you had 5,000 and then 2 days later you don't know where it went. So the budget helps you to be able to sort of preempt that you're going to receive the 5,000, and then well in advance you're going to sort of already discover how you're going to spend it. Luke chapter 14, verse 28, this scripture was also shared quite a couple of times with the different teachings on investment. It says, is there anyone here who planning to build a new house doesn't first sit down and figure the cost so you will know if you can complete it? And then Proverbs 21:5, the first part of that says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty. So this is just to say that if you plan, you will prosper, or if you plan in the beginning, whatever project you want to engage into, you'll be able to complete it because you already have foresight of what you want to do. So depending on what you do, everyone's budget will be slightly different. We have people that are self-employed. We have people that are employed by organizations. Then we have people that are employed, but at the same time, they also have what we call passive income, also popularly known as a side hustle. Then we have people that are unemployed. Then we have business owners, and then we also have potential entrepreneurs. So everyone in this setting, you'll be able to sort of put yourself in a category. So it's employees, you earn a salary, and then you have employees, you earn a salary, but you also have a side hustle. So the important thing to note there is when you are an employee and you're also running a business on the side, the business money is not your money, like Neff said on Sunday. So you need to be able to make a distinction between those two and manage your business resources separate from your personal resources. If you are unemployed, you are not exempted from knowing or understanding or actually preparing a budget, because you will still need to live on a day-to-day. So if you are unemployed, the budget tool is more to help you with what are your expenses and how are you going to cover it. So is it that you are going to put your hands to work to be able to generate income, which is the ideal thing, for the Lord blesses the work of our hands. So even if you are unemployed, budgeting is still also important to you. And then for the business owners, it's also a tool to be able for you to sort of have an analysis of your income and your expenses, sort of, because it's either you provide a service or you are selling goods. So in the business setup, it's a bit more technical, but this evening my focus will only be on personal budgeting. So you'll just look at the salary that you possibly receive or the money that you make from your business, but in the aspect of you paying yourself. So self-remuneration from a business is sort of the focus. And then potential entrepreneurs, if you want to go into business, the budgeting tool will be useful for you to be able to plan the costs that you will require for the establishment of your business. So if you want to start making fat cake, so what are the different things that you need? What are the ingredients that you need? And then how much do you want to make out of that? So the budget will help you to say, fine, cooking oil is this much, flour is this much, baking flour is this much, and then what is the profit that you are going to make from that? Because the other things, especially in the business space, some of the things are a bit ignored because they are not very evident. So like your labor, the skill that you're applying, you should be able to charge for that as well. The electricity, as much as you are using it from home, there's a portion of that you still need to be able to recover. So for potential entrepreneurs, the budget come and play in that aspect so that you are able to sort of be able to make a profit, because nobody really starts a business wanting to make a loss. So the budgeting tool is to be able to help you to do that. Okay, moving on. Proverbs 13:16 says, a wise man thinks ahead, a fool doesn't, and even brags about it. Proverbs is all about throwing shade, so it's always about you are foolish if you do this, you are foolish if you don't do that. So a wise man thinks ahead. And then again, Proverbs 6:6-8 talks about the end. Go to the end, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no chief, overseer, or ruler provides her food in the summer and gathers her supplies in the harvest. This is an end, mind you. They do not have somebody that is overseeing them, but by themselves they know the different seasons, and they make provision so that by the season is going to change, for which they'll not be able to look for food, they already have storage for it. So moving on to what is the importance of budgeting. The importance of budgeting is to help us to reach our financial goals, either long-term or short-term. The importance of budgeting is also so that we'll be able to steward the resources entrusted to us by the Father. And the budgeting also helps us to have structure for our finances. So as stewards of the Lord, whatever money you have, one thing that I've come to learn is that it's not mine. I'm just there to steward it. So if the Lord lays a demand on it and he wants all of it, I should be able to be ready to give it away. So the importance of budgeting is so that we are able to steward the resources that have been entrusted to us. So that is the importance of budgeting. If you have financial goals is just to say a goal that you have that requires money is a financial goal. If you want to buy a car, you will need money. It's the medium of exchange that is in the era that we are in. So for everything, whether it's a short-term goal or a long-term goal, when you have a budget, it's able to sort of help you to be able to attain that. So two popular sayings: if you aim at nothing, you will hit it all the time. So it's the same thing with your money. And also if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you don't have any plan in place, it's an automatic failure because you don't have a plan to start with. So through skillful and godly wisdom, a house is built, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge its rooms are filled with precious and pleasant riches. So you need to apply the wisdom and you need to apply the understanding. And the fortunate thing for us is that we have the help of the Holy Spirit. And we have so much wisdom that comes from the Bible. So we should not struggle with stewarding our resources. So far I explained what a budget is, what is the importance of a budget, and then we are sort of now going to get practical and go into what are the components or what is the structure of a budget. I said in the beginning, it consists mostly of two things, which is income. This is cash. Usually in the accounting field, cash in the bank, cash at home, we still refer to it as cash because it's liquid unless it's invested in something else. So your budget will have your income, and then it will have your expenses. So those are the two things. And the expenses are what determines your lifestyle. Your quality of life is determined by what you spend your money on. So that is what your expenses are. And also in a budget, it's such that your expenses need to be able to fit into your income. So there is no way that you will have your expenses more than the money that is actually coming in. So your expenses are determined, or your way of life is determined by the income that you make. So your expenses should be less than your income. If that is not the case, it means it's that either you are living beyond your means or you are running your business at a loss if it is in the setup of a business. So drilling down further now to income. Income, you have your salary. You have commission if you work on a commission based. You have your business income. You have rental income if you own property and people are paying you rent. That is rental income. And then you have other income. Other income could be a return on an investment that gets paid to your bank directly or stuff like that. And then in the expenses, your budget should have a section sort of, in summary, your expenses are made up of your needs, your wants, debt, if you are in debt, your savings, and then giving. So one way or another, the money that you make, it's either you end up giving it away, you end up saving it, you end up paying debt with it, and then the other two is sort of you use it to pay for your needs and your wants. And then further, your expenses in your budget need to be broken down. You will have your monthly fixed expenses. Sort of, this is your priority expenses. These are things that you cannot go without. So your tithe and your offering is in your monthly fixed expenses. Your bank charges, if you keep your money in the bank, you will need to pay bank charges. Your household expenses, that is your rent. If you are renting, mortgage, water and electricity, groceries, Wi-Fi, family contributions. If you are like me, I need to send money home. Then you have your insurance, which is either for your car, your household content, your phone, if your phone is insured. And then you have transportation. So that is either your fuel or your public transportation. And then you have your subscriptions. So your pay TV, online streaming, space. If you have an Apple and you pay for space, that goes into fixed expenses. If you have a child, there is childcare, so that is school fees, daycare, nanny. And then you have also contributions like contributing to the worship team, the singles fellowship, or if you have a stockful somewhere. So those are they are fixed in the sense that they are always there, but not fixed in the essence that the amount is always going to be the same. So, but those are the ones that you have on a fixed basis. You always need to pay your mortgage unless you, of course, you've bought your house cash, ideally. But yeah. So your tithe is also a monthly fixed expense, and your household expenses, groceries, you need food to live, your water and all that falls under your monthly fixed expenses. And then you also need to have your monthly investments. So in your budget, you also need to have a section for investment. So this, it depends if you are employed. Some of them go off automatically, it's sort of incorporated into your pay slip. But then you can also have this separately, because this is like your retirement accounts, your life cover, and your long-term committed investments, and your education and study policies. So these ones are the ones that fall under your investments. Investments is more forward-looking, so planning for the future. So your retirement and that goes into the monthly investments. And then another section that you should have in your budget is debt. So debt could come from a personal loan that you have with a bank, or not advisable if you have a loan from a loan shark or a cash loan. The cash loan interest rates are ridiculous, so no to that. And then your vehicle installments or your mortgage, that is also falling into your category of debt. And then outstanding accounts, if you buy clothes on credit, which is also not advisable. Yeah, so maybe big items you can get on hire purchase, and that will go under your debt. And then you have your monthly savings. So this will go, this will be your capital projects. For instance, if you are saving towards buying a car or buying a house. So it's important that you have money set aside every month in your budget, depending on what your goals are. Your monthly savings will also be put in a fixed deposit, in unit trust, and then also you need to have an emergency savings. So an emergency savings is just three times your monthly income that is sort of how do I say it? The money that you need to survive every month, you need to have 3 times of that saved in an emergency savings. So if you pay rent 5K, then you pay food 1,000, and probably something else is another 1,000. So that is like 7,000. So you need to have 21,000 saved. So this is outside of wants. It's just the necessary basics, so that if you lose your employment, you should be able to survive for at least 3 months without you needing to borrow money from anywhere. So, because usually, hopefully, that is the time that you'll be able to secure another job. Not sure if it's feasible in the Namibian economy, but at least within a space of 3 months, you should be able to sort of put your hands to something to be able to aid you, so that you do not live off your savings. And then also to be in your budget is your monthly variable expenses. Like I said again, there's sections in the budget, but the amounts do not always need to be the same. The amount changes based on needs. For instance, like if you have Aware, for instance, if you registered it in the last week of the previous month, probably the month after that, the amount will be slightly bit different by 1 week that you're not going to register. So your monthly variable expenses are your what? Your cell phone, your airtime, your data plan, your toiletries, your clothes, your shoes, movie, concert tickets, your hair, dining out, your medical costs, donations and gifts, and your black taxes. So these are things that you need to sort of have in your budget template, but it's not necessarily that you will have to incur these expenses every month. And then the last section of what is going to be a component of your budget is your once-off expenses. So this is sort of, if you decide that you're traveling that month only, it will be a once-off expense in your budget. So in the following month, you might not have it because you're just traveling to the coast for that specific month or so. This could also be part of family contribution. Somebody's getting married, or there's a death in the family or stuff like that. Those are sort of once-off expenses. All right, then moving on. So I've just given you sort of what are the different things that come in a budget. So they are monthly fixed, they are monthly variable, they are once-off, and then you have your investments, and then you also have your debt. Okay, and then now, how do you draw up then a realistic budget? Number one, it needs to be written down. You can't make a mental note of to say, oh no, who owes me this, then my salary is this. It's either you can write it in a notebook. I know my sister does that. Use an Excel template, accountants. She's now doing Excel, she's upgraded. So I use an Excel template. I tried, there's also budgeting applications that you can use on your phone. I tried the apps, but it wasn't apping, so I'm sticking to my Excel. And then, so number one, it is important that it is written down. And then you can also use the SMART analysis to set up a budget. SMART is the acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So specific is just to say, what is the money that is coming in? And also be specific about how are these amounts going to be allocated to the various expenses. So you are saying, fine, I'm getting 5,000 as my income. 1,000 is paying rent. 1,000 is paying transport. So you need to be able to specifically allocate this to say, fine, this is how much is going to that and that. And in your incomes, you need to be realistic as to what is actually going to be income. I usually avoid a situation of planning money outside of my control. If somebody says that they are going to pay you back, do not budget that money. But the company, you offered them your skills, you offered them your time. So technically they owe you because it's an exchange. So if they don't pay you, then that is a problem. But when somebody else, when a sister doesn't pay you back, what can you realistically do? So only budget your income on money that you are certain is within your control and that you are going to get it. And that is what you are going to apply to your expenses. If somebody pays you back, thank God, and then you can actually move that money to your savings or to pay off debt. Measurable. The good thing about a budget is that it's numbers, it's money, so it's easy to measure. So at the end, it's just to say, fine, did I receive X income? Did I spend it on this expenses? So the measure in the smart aspect in this case is much easier. Achievable. Will you be able to spend, say for instance, you are a student, you want to spend on extra classes, and you also want to buy books. So realistically, from the income that you are earning, are you able to spend both on extra classes and also buy the exercise books? So you need to set your budget in such a way that whatever you are planning to do is actually attainable. Say, for instance, if you allocate only 500 to groceries, is the 500 sufficient for you to be able to actually get to the following income? So you need to be as practical as possible to say, now you spend 500, or you put your little 500 and you think that you are actually saving. Meanwhile, maybe say 15 days into the month, you actually then need to buy extra groceries. It just means that you were not setting an attainable goal. And then it needs to be realistic. Your expenses should not be more than your income. So a realistic budget is you saying that I'm earning this much, this is how I am going to spend it. And then also just, you probably have a saving goal of say 3,500 and you only earn 5,000. Is it realistic that you want to save 70% of your income? So you need to be true to yourself. Yes, we talk about saving, we talk about paying off debt, we talk about all these nice things, but you need to be as true to yourself as possible. So, and then the last one in that is that your budget needs to have a specified timeline. Like in the beginning, I spoke about long-term goals and short-term goals. So my budget right now runs on a month-to-month because I'm still an employee. So I need to wait. Every 30 days, I get paid. So I need to structure my budget in such a way that whatever I plan to spend the money on things that especially that I need, they need to last until the next income comes in. So, and if you have, If you have then long-term goals, sort of, you also need to specify, like I want to grow my savings by 50% by June 2024. So what are you going to actively start doing when you are setting the goal? Usually we do this, hopefully, at the beginning of the year to sort of decide how much debt you want to settle off, by how much you want to save, and to reduce my mortgage by this much so that the interest, at least that is helped and stuff like that. So you need to have specific timelines of your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Okay, and then different types of budgets. I came across some very interesting ones as I was doing this, because I usually stick to 3, but there are 7 different types of budgets that we can actually use and apply. I got this from a site called homeowner.com. And number 1 type of budget is a traditional budget. Traditional budget is just you saying, this is my monthly expenses, this is my income minus expenses, whatever is left, it's either you save it or you use it to pay debt. That is also what I initially, when I first started working, that is what I used to do. Just list all my expenses, take my income, whatever is left, sometimes I don't even save it. I just know that my expenses are covered and I have excess money. So that is a traditional budget. And if you're a beginner, this is actually the easiest one to start with, because you just list your expenses. Just ensuring that your expenses are not more than your income every single time is what you need to keep in mind. And then we also have a zero-based budget. That is what I use. You get your income equal to 0. And this is, like I said, your income is split into your different expenses, which is your wants, your needs, your giving, your debt, your savings. So it's such that whatever I earn, it fits into one of these 5 categories. So that is zero-based budgeting. 1,000, my bank charges is this much, I gave this sister this much, I paid my tithe this much, so that I'll be able to summarize it down to whatever, no matter what the amount is. Whether it's $1 million, I should be able to account at the end of the time to say this is where the $1 million went, whether it went into savings, debt, or whatever the case may be, I'm able to account for it. That is a zero-based budgeting. And then we have the 50-30-20 budget. That the 50% is just to say 50% of your income is allocated to needs. So this is your household bills, your groceries, and other self and family necessities. 30% is allocated to you wants. Wants are things that we do not need to live, but they are just ideal. I want ice cream. That's a want. I want a polo shirt over a normal master price shirt. That is just preference. So 30% goes to wants, and then 20% goes to your savings and your debt. So if you have a saving goal, and the savings also always, like Naf was talking about, how as your income changes, you start thinking about the future, because as you are aging, it means you now have a shorter time left to work for you to be able to grow your savings. So always think about the saving. Saving is not just saving in the aspect of you are saving for a phone or you are saving for whatever. No, you're also saving for retirement and stuff like that. So always have that. It's just good to know that when you need the money, it is available. It's not when you need the money that you're running around looking for the money. So that is important. And the debt is just, if it was up to me, I would not have debt at all. But some debts we can't get out of, like mortgage and stuff. So it's just debt that you do not need, that you are able to settle. Like I was talking about hire purchase and stuff like that, or owing somebody. Get those little ones out so that you're only left with things that are actually outside of your spending capacity. So that is the 20% in the 50-30-20 rule. And then number 4 is your goals-based budget. This is a budget that focuses on specific financial goals, but with some flexibility. A goals-based budget is just, say, for instance, you have a ratio or a percentage-based clear targets in your income structure. You just say, fine, whatever happens, I want to save 20% of my income. So you get your 1,200, you put it to savings, and then the 800 that remains is now that you sort of deal with to be able to see how you'll be able to cater for the other expenses. So that is goal-based. So you have one primary goal, and it doesn't matter what you do. That is what you are going to prioritize first. And then we have a spending cap budget, or this is where you have a ceiling to your spend. So you just, up to a certain point, once you have spent that amount, you are done spending. I'm not sure how this is actually practical in the real world, but it's a type of budget that actually exists, where you have a ceiling to say, if by the time I've spent 4,000 this month, I'm done. I'm just like, okay. Yeah, so there's a spending cap budget, and then there's an envelope system budget. This one is sort of, this is a cash-based sort of budget where you withdraw the money that you will need and then you put it in different envelopes. I always say that this one is not advisable for large sums, but it's sort of more for smaller sums, because my own personal budget consists of the zero-based budgeting and the envelope system. So for the things that I need cash for, like I pay public transport, so I withdraw that money. I also have a lunch allowance that I pay myself, so I also keep that in cash. And I keep that in a separate envelope, so that if I now pay taxi, the change that comes from that, it goes into that little envelope and stuff like that. So that is the cash-based one. So where you have designated envelopes for different things, okay? And then there's the pay yourself first budget. You prioritize your own financial goals, and then once that is settled, what is left goes to discretionary spending. So this is almost similar to the goals-based budget, where you are just prioritizing your own financial goals. I'm not sure how well this will work with the kingdom, but yeah, it's a kind of budget. And then we have your sub-savings accounts budget. This is a savings target within a savings target. So you say your aim is to save 10% of your income, and then that 10% is sort of further split down to say, fine, of that 10%, 5% is going to be for saving for a new phone, the other 2% is going for a gift for my mother for Christmas and stuff like that. So a savings sub-accounts budget is just saving targets within a saving goal. And then the last one, it's an anti-budget budget. A relaxed approach. You save first, you pay bills, and then you spend the rest freely. So this one, it's almost like there's no accountability to how much is going to where, but you just save first and then pay bills and expenses, and then you spend the rest on whatever you want to spend it on. So like I said, when I first started, I used the traditional budget. That helped me a lot to sort of be able to still have my expenses laid out. And a budget is really just an estimate. So it is a flexible document. So if you budgeted to say, fine, you thought that your toiletries were going to cost 600, you get to the shop, they are actually 700, you should be able to update your budget with what is happening in the market, because you now can't force your budget to the market. You sort of force the market into your budget. So it is a document that you always need to update. I update my budget. The first updated more frequently the first week after I get paid, because that is the week that I'm paying bills. And then after that, I think I just update it once a week after that, because I usually allocate out everything, and what is left there is just in case kind of money that is left there. So those are your different kinds of budgets that are available. So you find one that will be able to suit into your needs and your targets, and then you can use that to do your budgeting. Rounding up, Matthew 25:10. This is the portion from the story of the 5 wise virgins. But while they were going away to buy, so this is when the foolish ones left, the bridegroom came, and those who were prepared went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. So I'm just going to go through the benefits of budgeting. So what happened is with this, with the wise virgins, is that they had planned properly. And because they had planned in advance, they were able to go in with the bridegroom. So we need to be able to budget and have accountability to our budget, or keep ourselves accountable to what we budget. So what are the benefits of budgeting? Number one, it gives us a clear picture of our current spending habits and how it can potentially be improved. So if you have a picture of where your money is actually going, you'll be able to identify possible opportunities for earning, lowering expenses, and increasing your savings. Because sometimes we get into the habit of, this is what I do every month, without really realizing that there is room for you to be able to save more, as much as you, because sometimes we have debit orders. So your debit order is a fixed amount of how much you're going to save. But if you are able to go back to your budget, you are actually able to see that, oh, this is how much that goes here. And also, it's advisable if you have percentages on your budget, to be able to see how much do you actually, or maybe it's just my accounting mind, the percentage helps me to see that, oh goodness, 20% of my income, I actually just spend it on what? On nothingness. 30% I'm spending it on other people, like the black taxes. the moment black taxes is going to go to about, say, 10% of your income, 20% of your income, it's too much. So that is sort of, it will be able to help you to go back and be like, you know what can I actually change around in my budget so that at least where my goals are, that is sort of where my income should be going. If I want to pay off debt, let it be that most of, or a good portion of my income is going to paying that off. Then it means, because once your debt is settled, it means your financial freedom and you are able to do with your money other things that are actually more enjoyable to you than just paying other people. And then also, when the benefits of doing a budget is that it will help you to identify what method works for you better depending on your needs. So like I was talking about the traditional budget, the zero-based budget, your 50-30-20, whether you are the pay yourself first kind of person. So depending on your needs, once you do a budget, you'll be able to see if that budgeting method actually works for you. And then a budget is also a good tracker of your financial goals and a useful tool to attain financial freedom. All of us ultimately want to be able to wake up one day and I want to go to the coast and I don't have to think about, oh, now I need to start planning. So if you have financial freedom, you'll be able to live a life where you are just able to make decisions and execute them because you are not bound by debt. And a budget is able to help you track that. And then number 4, it helps you to pay your bills on time, avoiding interest and penalties. So if you have probably bills that you need to pay and there's a penalty if they are paid late, your budget will be able to easily identify these things that you need to pay at what dates. Like I got what? Once, I embarrassed myself. I went to swipe and my bank charges went off and my card declined. Hey. And I checked that morning, I had money in the account. This was a while back. The girl's like, I'm like, try again. You know how you are very confident that you actually have money? Meanwhile, you don't. So I learned that bank charges, you can actually set a date as to when you want them to go off. So I sort of now know when my bank charges are going off and when I'm free to swipe and when not to swipe. So setting a budget just sort of helps with things like that. And then it also instills financial discipline. You'll be able to steward your resources properly. Like money is a tool. So don't ever be in a position where you are dependent on the money dictating your life. You are supposed to dictate where your money goes and how much of it goes there. So budgeting helps to instill financial discipline. And lastly, it is a flexible tool. Like I said, it can be amended for improvement and unexpected emergencies. So once your budget is done, when the actual spending now happens, so this is now where you come and compare your actuals versus your estimates, and then you update it accordingly. So if you had budgeted, like I was giving the example of toiletries, if your toiletries were cheaper, it means that the change that you had in your budget line, that change can now be allocated to something else. If it was more expensive, then it's the opposite as well. To say, fine, you had under budgeted for something specific, so it means that something else in your budget needs to change as well. So if you had now probably planned to go to the movies and the groceries cost you more, so you'll probably have to forfeit the movies or something like that. So the budget just is able to give you that structure of what needs to improve and what are the opportunities that are available for you to be able to grow your income as well. So because sometimes it happens that your expenses are way too close to your expenses and you can't probably, your expenses are too close to your income and you are unable to save. So the budget will be able to show you that perhaps this is an opportunity for you to actually start thinking about how you can make additional income. So you will now start thinking about your different ideas to say, how do I have an extra 100 every day? So what I always advise people is break down your needs, because sometimes it looks very challenging because it's a huge amount, but break it down further. If you need to make 400 a month, I always say you need to just make 20 every single day. So if you make 20 Monday to Friday, that is 100. So break down your needs or your goals into smaller portions so that they don't look impossible. So that is it for this evening on what a budget is, what are the different components of a budget, the different budgeting methods, the importance of budgeting, and the benefits of budgeting. Amen.